Well, hi, Pumpkin. Look who's actually sticking around. Usually you disappear as soon as I turn the camera on. So nice to see you. Is it because it's bright and early and you're wondering if you're gonna get your breakfast cookies? Yeah, it's always all about those breakfast cookies. She already had her breakfast cookies. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. I'm great. Sun is out. It's 0 degrees currently, and I don't know, I just want to go out in the grow space and play with some plants. Did I say play with some play with some pants? What? Maybe I started too early. I have some things I want to repot, do some maintenance with some of the house plants that are out there in the grow space. And then at some point, a lot of my seed starting supplies are supposed to start rolling in. I already have a lot of it, but mainly there's a heat mat that I would like to use. Oh, and my seeds. I don't have those yet. I ordered a whole bunch of fresh seeds. A lot of the seeds I've been trying to start just aren't germinated. They've gotten pretty old. And I made the mistake one year of storing the seed container in the garage, which was dumb because it gets really hot out there. So I'm assuming those are dead now. They're not probably going to germinate. So have a bunch of new seeds coming in the mail, but I want that seed starting mat to get here. Worked on clearing off a shelf last night so it could, you know, have a place to put that heat mat, or not last night, in the last video, long video, very long video. It hasn't even come out yet. This video won't come out for like 12 days. Got a little bit too far ahead of things. I like that, but I also don't like that. But I'll be sure to film through up until it's just a few days before the video comes out so that things can get caught up. Hi, kitten. What a sweet kitten. Coldest temperature in the greenhouse out there that I saw, I didn't like dig through intensively, was 20. So when I woke up, my sensor that's outside said it was 14, which I don't think was accurate because I have another sensor on the front of the house that said it was 7 outside. My phone said it was -1, and then the weather said it was 0. And then I talked to some other people and they said that their phones said it was 1. So I don't know. It's between -1 and -14. I don't know. I'm just going to go with 0. I'd say that that's a good number. You do not want to go back out there. He was just out there for like 5 minutes. It's too cold. Labradors, they love the cold. I let him out and he runs in a circle and does a belly flop and sticks his face in snow and just runs, like with his butt up in there, and runs like he's trying to plow the snow with his face. You like the way the snow feels, don't you? Okay, well, yeah, there it is. There's the intro. Whole bunch of plant stuff going on, and well, I don't really know what else. We will see. I suppose while I'm talking about plant stuff, how about this peperomia? I have yet to find a rhythm with this one that seems to keep it happy. It was happiest when I set it on my garage floor to make room on the counter for all the Christmas stuff back in December. It was on the garage floor for like 6 weeks, not getting very much light. And then I picked it up to bring it inside. I was like, oh, wow, you finally look good again. I'm wondering if the problem with the window is that, you know, this is a garden window. That window is just about southwest facing, right? Right? It's north, east, southwest. The house is kind of like this, so a little bit, you get it. Directions can be hard sometimes. Yeah, if maybe it's just wanting to stretch. It doesn't look like it's like leaning a certain direction though, but it is definitely stretched out, and I don't know what it wants. Stretched out usually means they want more light. However, when this was in the garage sitting on the floor, it wasn't stretched out. All the new foliage that it was putting out was nice and low. Plants don't usually get long and leggy when they want less light. That doesn't make sense. Although, well, I guess seedlings, Camps. That's not what's going on here. It's not very common. That wouldn't make sense. I'm seeing some cupping of the foliage, but it's also flowering right now, so maybe it just doesn't have enough root going on to support what it's going through. I don't know. It just seems so much happier when I didn't have it on the counter over here. So maybe I just need to find a better spot for it. Sometimes you just gotta move things around. I'm also wondering if maybe I should just keep the dome off of it. Was it under the dome when it was? Yeah, it was. It was under the dome when it was in the garage. I don't know. It was weird. Now that it's getting more light, it's more stretched out. What do you want? But I guess maybe the light's just not direct enough. I don't know. When the amaryllis have started to do their thing a little bit more, I mean, I guess they're fully doing their thing right now. But once they're done with their blooming and they start to put out some foliage or more foliage, I will take this container, move it out of here. Same thing with that other amaryllis. And I'll probably actually move these into just like a 10-inch hanging basket kind of dish setup and keep those in that. And I'll be able to clear some space off the counter here and get these lemon ball cypress out. That'll make more room because maybe it's just that I can't get it in a spot where it's getting enough Like, that doesn't make any sense though. Because for a while prior, I'm almost done with this, I promise. Prior to moving this outside or into the garage before the holidays, I've had this inside for, you know, about a year. And it was over here and it was getting too much light. And the thing was like wilting and looking horrible. So I moved it over here where it was getting a little more protect. It's just been a weird peperomia. Peperomias don't usually give me trouble, but this one's been pretty odd. Other than that it just seems to want to be left in the dark, which I'm sure is not actually the case. It's just being weird. Okay, enough of that. Update on the amaryllis bulbs. Looking nice. These are the cherry nymph. This is, look at that flower. It's such a nice, cherry, happy red flower. It multi-petaled, heavily petaled. Lots of character in there. They fade out into more of a dark, deep scarlet color, and then they turn into this, and they don't look very good anymore. That's actually a bud that I think blasted. These bulbs weren't, yeah, this blasted. This one right here never even opened up. You can see that, yeah. Pop that open. Just gonna be a bunch of goo inside of here probably. I'm thinking, yeah, bad bud. So, I don't need to explain it. It's just a bud that blasted. It happens sometimes. They were shipped out when it was really cold. I got most of these bulbs after the holidays when they're on clearance. That's why they're still in bloom. None of that matters. You can reset them and try again next year to get them to bloom for the holidays. I just wanted them while they were nice and cheap because I wanted to have a nice big bowl of these cherry nymph amaryllis. I love the stems on them. They have really nice stocky stems with lots and lots of flowers on them. When they're in their full glory, like this one's still got another bud ready to go. And I'll probably have another one in not too long. You can see one sticking up back there. All kinds of buds on this. Fun, beautiful plants. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to making some more room in here, but that's going to be later. Actually, this video comes out long enough into the future. I think the low tonight is like 6, and then things are supposed to warm up. It's significantly. It's supposed to maybe be in the 30s or 20s for a couple of days, but then it's supposed to go up into being into the 40s and 50s, maybe a few dips into the 30s in the evenings. I'm sure we'll still have some drops into the 20s at nighttime moving forward, but once we hit March, things are usually pretty good. Sometimes we have a cold blast that comes through and shakes things up, but that can happen anytime between now and mid-May. You just never know. We'll have plenty of days where it's in the 70s and 80s. This is why I can't do tulips and bulbs in containers, because it'll be nice and cool, and then it'll be like 90 degrees. Then it'll be nice and cool, and then like 80. And that makes them get really short and stubby and just end up having some flowers that barely poke up out of the soil. It looks awful. Although I guess I could have maybe started them off in there, but it's still the same scenario, right? Because they're still going to input the heat. Can't have that. Okay. 8 minutes of rambling and talking about plant stuff. Let's go outside and get some stuff done. Oh, desk is still looking good. Full of dirt, love it. The irony, I just had to cut and had like a 2-minute long sneeze break. Maybe I should clean this up. It's only like, I don't know, 12 hours after I finished filming the last video. Or no, I finished filming the last video, and then it doesn't matter the timeline of events. This is all here from repotting the Sansevieria and repotting all the stuff that was in the video that came out, I guess, right after repotting the Sansevieria. Oh, I have some new plants here. Whole bunch of them. Aren't they pretty? Anyways, there are a whole bunch of new plants coming in the mail. Sometimes, I guess you want to see these? These are some of my favorites. Begonias. These I ordered from Hertz. I got some plants in from Hertz via Walmart a couple of weeks ago. It was in a video, and I mentioned in that video that they forgot a few of the plants. And I sent them an email. They responded very quickly and said, oops, we'll send them. And they did. The only downside to that was that there was no shipping notification, so I didn't have a tracking. So these sat on the front porch for like an hour and a half when it was 24 degrees outside. Not ideal, but they were okay. That's why I put them in this little greenhousey thing here. Had a little tray underneath them. It had some water in it. I wanted them to suck up, make sure they'd stay warm and humid. It's been about a week, and other than there's some spots on here where I think that's just an old branch that broke off. You see that wrinkly guy right there? Right there by my thumb? That's probably just something that broke off. Yeah. So they're actually looking pretty good. There are lots of different types of dwarf begonias. This is just the only one I was able to get my hands on, the tiny pink. And the tiny pink is actually one of my favorites of the little begonias. These are great in terrariums. You can train them to look like little trees. I'm trying to remember, I guess I have the tag right here. I'm just gonna try and tell you all the specs. I can just read it off to you. 9 to 11, don't want to go below 20, bloom spring through fall. They call it a small shrub, 6 inches tall by 6 inches wide. So this is one of the like really small dwarf begonias. The description up here says, we present the smallest sleeved begonia available in shrub form that is tiny enough for our fairy to nap underneath. What do they mean in shrub form? Is there a begonia with smaller leaves that grows as a vine or a tree? I don't understand. There's some that are more herbaceous. This is herbaceous. I don't get it. Small leaved, 6 by 6, claiming it's the smallest. They have really cute pink flowers on them that, well, they're white. There's a hint of pink on the flowers, though. You see it? That hint of pink. More of the pink is usually on the back side of the petals. And when these get more white and haven't, been stressed out from shipping, you can see the pink a lot better. I'll get a little bit closer on that picture there. See that? It's a cute little, wow, you can see the ink dots on there. Well, you get it. Cute, pink. I like these because they have a good draping effect, so you can clear them out, grow them up a little bit, you can clear out a lot of the lower growth, and you can train them to look like a little tree, and it ends up being a tree that has a weeping habit that comes out and over things. You have rocks and things in front of it, it'll gracefully go over the front. They're just beautiful plants. I really like these. I'm glad that they sent them and that they're looking a lot better. I'm still just gonna, for the sake of it, put them back into their little glass house here because they seem to be happy in there. I don't want to shock them just yet. It's not very warm in the grow space with the cooler temperatures outside. Talked about it in the last vlog, been keeping the temperatures in here more on the low end because this guy decided to turn off the other day when it got too hot. So in order to prevent it from overheating, I'm just running it at a lower temperature. I'm thinking tomorrow or the day after, though, that should change. I should be able to bump things back up to being in the upper 70s and into the 80s, low 80s. Hopefully, because that's what I would prefer for things to be around when I get the seedlings going. I have a heat mat and everything, but even with a heat mat, it'd still be better for the ambient temperature to not be like 63, which is what it is right now. It's pretty chilly. Don't usually let it get this cold in here, but it also doesn't drop below like 10 very often. It doesn't drop below 15 or 20 all that often in St. Louis, but going below 10, much more infrequent. But it happens every single year. In fact, most years we drop below 0 a few times, so I don't really know why we're a zone 7, but they say we are. Averages, that's how that works. So I've not finished up, but I've gotten a lot of my plant orders done for the springtime, and there's some fun stuff coming in. Do you guys want like a preview? Should we talk about it? Is that something you'd be interested in? My only hesitation is the time it takes to edit those videos, getting the pictures and things put up on the screen, so I'm kind of like, maybe just wait until the plants come in. But then things might be sold out, and then people won't be able to get things if they think they like them. I don't know. But at the same time, half the reason that people watch an unboxing video is to see the item in a video as opposed to just a picture with a description, right? Because that's how most of us base our decisions for placing an order, deciding to get a new plant. Because you can see pictures and read about everything online, but it's not the same as actually seeing it physically in front of you, how it was packaged and all that stuff. I'm excited and I want to talk about plants. Well, I can just be pretty broad with things. I have ordered mostly very heavily on perennials because the springtime is really when I want to get a lot of the evergreens and things that I want to have for next winter into the ground, because it's really best for them to get and establish themselves really well so that you have more growth and more to try and have above ground during the fall, winter, early spring for the next year. So instead of just doing like big bushy shrubs, I've been looking more at perennial type evergreens. Like there's some a really pretty blue creeping Veronica, and then well, this isn't an evergreen, but a really cool cherry shrub. It only goes like 3 feet by 3 feet, and it has edible cherries on it, a tart flavored cherry. And I thought that would just be fun for the nieces and nephews to like have berries to pick. Kids love that stuff. Self-fertile as well, don't need multiples of those. Whole bunch of grasses for shade. Well, yeah, I think there's a couple different types of grasses for shade. One of them is, I think it's called bowels, is the name of it. It's a sedge that gets 30 inches tall. So a lot of the grasses for shade are smaller. You know, they only go a foot, maybe 2 feet max, and they tend to have more of a low habit to them, whereas the bowels looks kind of like a pennisetum, sort of maidenhair grass. It has more of a tall, upright structure, but it's supposed to be good for the shade. It has a nice light green color, so it'll stand out really well in the shade too. Lots of roses. So many roses, climbing roses. I want to get them on the fences. I want to put them on the side of the house. I want climbing roses all over the place. I want the color. I want the fragrance. Roses are something I'm always drawn to in the springtime because they flush out earlier than a lot of the other shrubs do. And they flower earlier, and there's so many different types of repeat bloomers now. It's like, why don't I have more roses? Well, it's because I don't have a lot of sun. The backyard's over, that's why I keep turning the camera that way. A lot of the sun's gone because the trees grew bigger, that's why I don't have a ton of roses. But David Austin's website has a section for shade. Now, when they say shade, that doesn't mean that they can take shade, but it just means that they don't need the full blazing full-day sun like most other roses do. Of course, some gingers are going to be coming in from Plant Delights and a whole bunch of stuff. I can't even keep up with what I've ordered from Plant Delights. Purple Bellvine. I have the seeds. I'm going to try them, even though it's kind of late. Prefer to start Purple Bellvine in like January. Actually, a lot of the plants can be starting from seed. I prefer to start in January, but that's fine. Here we are. But Purple Bellvine, I've watched, Erin the Impatient Gardener. She's kind of the queen of the Purple Bellvine. She's given everybody lots of advice on those, and they're just difficult to get going. So even though I have plenty of seed, and I'll probably try and start some from seed, I also found out that Select Seeds, you can just order them as plugs. So I ordered some that are already started, so not gonna have to worry about germination. I'll just have them. Oh, and some scented geraniums. Lots of geranium seeds are coming in. The Maverick type's really good for the heat and the humidity. Have some really good color on them. Maybe I ordered some bullseyes. I don't remember. I don't remember which scented geranium I ordered, so that'll be a fun one. We'll find out together whenever it shows up. There's so much. I'm trying to remember. Some of those are from Great Garden Plants. They have the grass, the cherry bush. I ordered the Speedwell. That's the Creeping Veronica. It's supposed to be evergreen. We'll find out. A couple different Cranesbell hardy geraniums. I'd like to get more of those going in the more sun or part shade to part sun areas, because sometimes those can be evergreen as well. Some Sarcococca, I don't remember, I can never say it right. A really nice evergreen shrub that's very, very fragrant shrub. They only get like 18 to 24 inches tall, but they're mostly evergreen. They're very, very fragrant. From Select Seeds, there's a really two neat new Gartenmeister type hybridish fuchsias that have one has really, really, really big tubular trumpet-shaped flowers on, another one has smaller pink flowers, a neat begonia that's very similar to these, but actually grows into like a full-size shrubby begonia, but it has a smaller leaf, kind of a fountain habit to it, with lots of little pink flowers on it that looks kind of like a fuchsia. I found an orange fuchsia. I'm excited about that, because that's not something you see very often, a fuchsia that's orange. What? I doubt it's really orange. You know how they do things online. Hopefully it's orange. And then over the next couple of weeks, I also have plants coming in from, not Sunshine Greens, God, no, never. The Green Escape on Etsy. So there's 14 little plugs that are coming in, and then some others that are just some more tropical type plants I wanted to get going in the grow space to get some size on before it's time to take them outside. So there's a couple more Fridex coming, and a philodendron that I can't pronounce the name of, but we all know what it is. You'll know it when you see it. I'll put it up on the screen when I unbox it. You'll see it then. Think about maybe planting some of the new Incredible hydrangeas. They have one that's called Stormproof, so it has better sturdiness to it. The storms here knock a lot of our Incredibles down, so it'd be nice to see if there's some more structure to those. There's some new boxwoods that I might give a try. I want to do a lot with perennials this spring. Of course, I'll do things with tropicals, but I can't do much with those until like mid to late May anyway, so I figure March and April and part of May, really just dig in on the landscaping and try and get the structure, those bones built up for the times of year, which is most of the year when the tropicals and annuals aren't necessarily looking that good. I want more of a garden, right? The way it is right now, everything dies down to the ground. It's gotten better because I've been working on this for a few years, but everything dies down to the ground. It's just mulch. So need some more shrubbery and some evergreen interest, and I'm trying to branch out from just, things like pines and hollies and yews to finding some more perennials. Like even some heucheras will stay semi-evergreen. Now, I don't know why I use quotation marks. They are semi-evergreen, some of them. Perennials, herbaceous type plants that will hopefully be evergreen. Why are the lights off over here? When did that happen? I suppose we could have done all this talking while I was working on something. That would have probably been more entertaining than just me just moving the camera back and forth. Sorry about that. I have a ginger over here. I'm really getting up. Gotta get up. Gotta get to work. This ginger over here needs to be repotted. Turn these lights on. Okay, don't know why those turned off. They do that sometimes. They just randomly turn off and I don't know why. Yeah, this ginger, beautiful ginger, Tahitian Flame Hedychium. Talked about it in the vlog prior to this one, not the video, the vlog. So a really long video that came out prior to this one. And that video was just already so long. There's already a lot of stuff going on. It just didn't make sense to work on that right then. But I figure, since, you know, it's going to be a minute till I can get the seeds going. I don't even know if I'm going to film the seeds starting. Nobody ever watched the seeds videos. Or not many. I should say nobody. I appreciate those of you who do. But they don't tend to get a lot of views. So maybe I'll chat and do stuff while I'm working on seedling stuff. But I'm not going to go too far into it in the video. I don't think. Anyways, maybe. Oh, no. You see that? I was wondering why it's so freaking cold over here. My feet are freezing. The garage door's not down all the way. And it got down to 0 last night. Oh, no. Oh, that could be bad. I mean, it's probably okay, but 0 degree air. It doesn't look like it's up very much, but that's enough that could be a problem. Okay, so this needs to be repotted. I need to divide it up. Hopefully it's not too wet. I did lightly water last night. I'm going to go push that garage door down some more. Run the heater for a while, warm things back up in here. I did notice it's getting extra chilly. Get my materials ready. We can do some repotting and maybe some pruning and tying. Just get things looking a little bit better over here. Okay. All right, I'm pushing. I think that's about as far down as that's going to go. There's ice underneath it. That's better. When I came over, you could really feel a cold breeze coming through, but not as much anymore. Like how I pan the camera up and over all the boxes and recycling that need to be handled over there. Y'all haven't seen what's going on over here in a long time. Mule palms are looking good. Windmill. Some frond loss since I brought it in, but it should be just fine. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'll be able to move this outside. I'm going to wait until the middle of next week, which will be a few days before this video posts, to see an extended forecast. And most of the highs are going to be above 25. Then I'll go ahead and move it out. The thing is, now it's been inside the grow space for several weeks. And it's gotten used to not having cold temperatures on it. It's had some cold drafts on its root ball, but that's about it. So I don't want to move it out and then shock it. I don't think it'd like that. So ideally, I think there's going to be a day or several days, maybe where it's going to be in the upper 40s and mid 50s, I think, next week. And that would be the time to move it out. The thing is, since I repotted this thing into this giant 32-inch container, it is not easy to get this in the garage anymore. It used to be, it was like, oh, no big deal. There's going to be some ice. I just scoot it inside. No. This was the hardest plant to get in here this year by far. And that's largely because there's no room to maneuver because I have all these plants right here. Like, if I could get it in and push it all the way in and then stand it up, it'd be a different story. Which I actually probably could do that now. I got enough of the plants off the ground in the last vlog and up onto the shelf that there's more than a floor space to reasonably move some. And the windmill palm's fine. Looks good, just need to do some pruning on it. Mule palms are pushing up some new growth. Not seeing any sign of crown rot, though I'm sure they're not gonna look good when I move them outside because they're not getting much airflow back here. But maybe we can do something about that. You see, I mean, it shouldn't do that. Like, I barely touch it and the whole, no, that's not good. So I should actually probably do a fungicide treatment on here. That's not rot. It's just weak. Real weak from being inside. This frond is better. But yeah, this stuff that's coming up, it does this every year. I move it inside and the stuff it puts out is just pathetic. Largely because there's not a lot of light over here or airflow. Oh, the Bignonia. Look at this. This guy's blooming. Would be a lot prettier if it were outside getting natural light. This is a cross vine that I planted up in this probably 2 years ago. I never even told you all about it because it's just a tiny little pathetic thing. I think it's called like Tangerine Dream, something along those lines. I thought it'd be fun to have something that's not necessarily cold hardy. That's how do I explain this? So the cross vines, Bignonia, kind of hardy here, but it's really just sort of luck of the draw. Trumpet vines are fully hardy here, but the Bignonia, not always. So I was like, well, that would be a good thing to put in with the mule palm, because I have to move it in when it gets terribly cold outside and keep it pruned up so it doesn't go too high on the trunk and everything. It mostly just wants to sprawl around the pot, and I'm cool with that. On the Cordylines, the Freticasas, they're okay. I think I may have lost one, which isn't bad considering I have not been doing much to take care of them. My best luck I have with the Cordylines is to stick them somewhere and leave them alone during the winter time. And you can see like there's a trunk back there that's died off. Might be another one over here. They're going to need a lot of cleaning up, that's for sure. But I'm thinking it might be worth in the next couple of weeks, not right now, but the next couple of weeks, maybe moving them over to where the grow lights are. One of the reasons I also keep them over here is because it's closer to the door, so I can take them outside and spray them more easily, because these things are spider mite and mealybug magnets. But it's been so cold the last several weeks, I haven't been able to take them outside to spray them anyways, but I can spray up against that wall. I've been spraying that wall on about a weekly basis for the last month or so. That would be fine too, but over here, I can't spray them because the overspray could get in the water. Even if it's neem, soap, pepper, and oil, it doesn't matter. That's not good for the fish, so I could move them. Nobody asked, but that's the update on the Cordylines. They're looking okay for not getting a lot of light and for just hopefully getting watered when I spray water over here with the hose. The hose doesn't reach past right here, so I have to just kind of stand back and aim at the pots and hope that it's enough. I am seeing some seeds on here. Could pop these off, maybe do some germination with them. I don't know if they produce true to seed or not. I would imagine they probably do. They've been flowering in an abundance. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? It's so pretty too. So many pretty seeds. I don't think these are quite ready to go yet. Are they? Some of them are. They turn more of a reddish color. See, here's ones that aren't ready to go. They're nice and green. Those aren't ready to go. I'm going to prune some of these off, put them in my little dish here. I also noticed a Dracaena that's behind me. I think might have root rot. I need to handle that before the ginger, so we'll take care of that next. Yeah, this is bad. Real bad. I know, I tricked you. It doesn't look terrible up there, but down here, that's not great. So this is a Dracaena Cordyline. Keep wanting to call it a Freticus. It's not. This is an Australis, not an Indivisa. Indivisas have a more broad growth on them, even though they're usually labeled as an Indivisa. That's not what they are. It's just like the spike plants. That's all this is. Those cheap little fillers people put in the center of their containers. It grew a lot last year, and I think maybe I let it get too wet this early winter when it was outside. I don't move these in until it's like going below 25, or if we're going to have any type of ice. And, well, maybe I should have moved it in before that. Regardless, it needs a cleanup, right? Need to get all that stuff off of there. I have options here. I could just stake it back up. But if this had a healthy root system on it, it wouldn't be leaning. So I think the better thing to do would be to come in here. I mean, I can already tell with my finger. Yeah, I shouldn't be able to get my finger underneath the stem like that. So this thing, I think it lost a lot of roots, which is okay. We can work with this. We need to get it out of this container, get it cleaned up and fixed up. Would understand you maybe want some more specifics than just that. I'm wondering, oh, I just remembered why I was going to hold off on the ginger. I wanted to wait till it was nice outside because I didn't want to make a huge mess in the grow space. I was just thinking I would rather do this outside, but you know, it's, I don't know, it may have warmed up to 10 by now. I don't want to do this out there. That would kill the plant. I also don't want to get dirt everywhere, and I don't think my tray's going to fit. Oh well, you know what? I already have dirt all over the desk. It needs to be cleaned up. I'm going to try and just, yeah, I shouldn't be able to dig down like that. You see that? See what I'm doing here? It shouldn't, that should be full of roots on a plant this big. Gosh, I bet this has like very little anything left on it. Is that a worm? No, it's not a worm. Never mind. Sorry for anybody excited. Just thought maybe you're going to get to see a worm. No worm. False alarm on the worm. Try and come under here. Get way down in there. This soil's cold too. Like really cold. This was maybe a foot off the garage door. Okay, so this might have some roots further down. I feel something going on down there. I'm only excavating it like this because I assume that its root structure isn't strong enough to support me just trying to unpop this in the more conventional way, which would be to tip it on its side and just rip the whole thing out by the stem. Yeah, okay, all right. Now I should grab my tray. Okay, so it has some roots. Some stuff broke off on the bottom. I've seen worse. We can work with this. I need to go grab my tray. Forget the tray. There's no way for me to walk over there with this in my hand and not make a gargantuan mess. So next, come in here, clean up the stuff on it. Some of this we'll just pull right off. Just take it off by hand. Just pull on it. And it'll come off. Once you get to a point where they're not coming off easily, that's when I start to just use my scissors to get them off of there. Go ahead and expose some nice clear trunk. These can hold on to their leaves for a long time.
But when they start to brown up, it's totally fine to just come in and remove them by hand too. You can even just cut the whole thing and start it over if need be. That's what I was wondering, that I might have to do that. But I think that this, I don't know, there might be enough root. There should be enough root on here. I'm not seeing the squish, anything like that. I think the soil just got too cold and too mucky. Probably what happened there. It's mucky soil. Got all this brown stuff cleaned off, and then we'll have another look at the root ball. Okay, trunk is cleaned up. I did notice, very middle of this, not looking great. The foliage coming out of the crown, kind of more of a bronze tone, which isn't something you want to see. So this might all be for nothing. Hopefully that's not the case. All I'm going to do here is loosen up this soil and pop it into a fresh mix that drains better. And I'm going to keep this over here on the warm side of the garage because, well, clearly it wasn't doing great on the other side of the garage. I'm guessing it was probably getting some overhead water. Where this was sitting is kind of the direct path to where I shoot the hose up to water the hibiscus and the croton. And I spray them down too. I've been using high pressure. I have a high pressure attachment that goes in the hose to blast the plants, partially to help keep them nice and strong, and also to help get all the gunk off of them. Any pests, those things, just hit them with water pressure. And this was like kind of in that direct path. So it was cool over where this was sitting, and it had water collecting in its crown, which is just great. Plants love that. That was if you don't know, that was sarcasm. Don't let water collect in the middle, it'll die. Guys, this isn't looking good. There's like nothing coming down from the main stem of this plant, holding it onto the root ball. I'm gonna keep trying to excavate, but I think it would almost be worth it to just cut it and replant it at about that depth and let it root back out on its own. Oh, hey, look, worm. I made up for if you got excited and you got disappointed when there it was. There was a worm. Not a lot of roots left on this guy, so I'm pretty sure I'm still gonna rebury it about that high up on the stem. Didn't have a lot of roots to begin with, I'm thinking. I think that, I did a few things wrong with this plant. One, the soil blend, I don't like it. Didn't drain well enough. Another thing, I did not get its old soil out as well as I should have. One thing I noticed when I was combing through here, in this area, it was a lot of peat that was just, not even peat, it was like mud. But as you broke it apart, you could tell it was kind of that lighter brown, peaty sort of material. I do remember this was very root bound when I potted it up, so it's one of those things where I was like, I'm not getting all those roots separated without hurting the plant, and here we are. Because I did that, it never really put its roots out. It kind of stayed in that tight little mass around its old soil. I should have just taken a blade, cut the bottom of the root ball off, soaked it in water, and peeled the whole thing apart, and removed the soil. That's what I should have done, but it's not what happened, and it's okay. I think we can fix it. Okay, look at that. Desk is clean-ish. Took a while to get all the soil off of here. This is the only 10-inch pot that I have around. You can see it has the drain holes up really high. Nothing on the bottom. That's not okay. Got to do something about that, especially when I'm trying to avoid rot. On the note of rot, I didn't smell anything funky at all, so I'm not concerned about there being root rot with this plant. I think it was just a lot of root dieback and poor planning with the potting mix to begin with, right? I should have, well, not the potting mix, with the potting, I should say. Did not get enough of the old soil out. So here we are. Let that be a lesson to you. Sometimes if you don't remove all that bad mix, then you end up with a really sad and unhappy plant. Okay, that has holes in it now. This is good. This is done. Hold still, tripod. So the water can get it out more efficiently. This is just a 10-inch container. This is going to be annoying. It's going to want to flip and flop all over the place with that big top on it. So I'm going to have to find a nice heavy pot to set this down inside of. But that root mass, I would almost prefer to actually put that into like an 8-inch container, but there's no way it would stand up straight. It's just not going to happen. The whole thing's going to fall apart if I do that. So I'm going to stick with the 10-inch. Walked away from the camera to grab my potting mix. Should have hit the pause button. Sorry about that. I'm back. Give some of that blend on there. This is a really good, nice, well-draining mix. So I think it will be happier in this, I hope. Right? You see, it's got a lot of give to it. Good amount of sand in there. I could put more in there. It needs some more, doesn't it? Probably another, maybe 2 scoops. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know. I think that should be good. Okay, I think this should do the trick. Nice heavy ceramic pot. Just set that in there. I don't know though, this thing, it's pretty dang big. I'm gonna bring it over here. It's got all of its weight up top, not a lot going on down low. I'm gonna try it, yeah, I'm gonna bury about probably 2 to 3 inches of that stem. I should have mentioned this. I sprayed it down lightly with a fungicide. I only did it lightly because I ran out. Yeah, ideally, you wanna drench when you're using the fungicides, but I just didn't have quite enough. Like I said, I didn't smell anything bad in here, so I don't think that there's an issue with rot with this anyways, right? There's no odor, it's probably fine. I didn't see any pests. I mean, there's some earthworms down there. I didn't see anything down in here that would be something that I would think would be much of a problem. There's absolutely no chance this thing is gonna stand upright. I'm gonna need to leave a big lip in here so I can stuff this with something to help hold it up. A stake's not gonna do it in a pot this shallow. I think I'm gonna add some floral foam. That's gonna make it hard to water. I stick floral foam in there. Yeah, it's not gonna, I'm gonna put a little bit more soil in there and then find something I can stuff in there around the trunk to help hold this thing upright. Something I should mention, when I mentioned burying the main stem, I'm trying to only bury the part where it's fresh, where I pulled those leaves off and where I could already see little nubs from roots coming out. The rest of it I'm gonna leave up and exposed. But there are little tiny white nubs that were coming off of here. Those were roots. This actually might hold itself up. You know what though? Maybe I could just prune it up. Maybe it's prune the whole top up. That'll lighten the load and encourage some root growth down low. Okay, making some progress here. Look, rocks. Rocks, that's gonna hold it in place. Water can move around it, that's perfect. This is, okay, well there's some stuff to say about this. It can't stay like that, clearly, because the crown needs some air movement. The crown's not looking too good. But there's mealy bugs on the inside here. So I need to come through and get all these cleaned off. And then I'm going to very loosely tie some string right around here, then undo that clamp. So basically I just don't want this in full on sprawl because I'm gonna have to move this over here and it takes up a pretty big space and it's gonna drive me crazy. So I want it tied up somewhat and also so it'll be easier for me to spray underneath here because the mealy bugs, that's what's going on. So I can't tip this on its side anymore, right? This thing's got to root out. So if I'm spraying this, I can't just lay it on its side to get underneath it. So I want to have a plan set up in place, kind of like this, where I can get and clean the undersides. Oh, and I'm out of twine. So I'm using fishing line, which is not ideal, but it's gonna have to do. That's all I got right now. And I think it's fine. See, it's not tied very tight. It's pretty loose, but it's tight enough that I can adjust it up somewhat. I'm gonna pull this clamp off of here. This clamp's getting kind of old. It doesn't always come off all that easily. There we go. I'm gonna lower that down a little bit more because I want there to be an opening. Need to be able to make sure that the middle of the plant has light and can grow upwards. Yeah, okay, that's good. Look, so much better. Fixed it, kinda. I mean, not really, it could still die. It's not looking great in the middle, so I've been talking about that. I can't get up quite this high, but hopefully you can see what's going on there. There's still a hint of green on the inside. This is why I need to move this over here, where it's gonna be much more warm, and I'm gonna water this in with a root stimulator to get it up and going more quickly. I might even stick a heat strip underneath this. I have some little ones. I think that might be a good idea to warm this guy up and try and get it growing. The sooner the better. Oh, and then I need to get more fungicide because I do need to treat that center. For now, just gonna use peroxide and neem, let it sit for a little bit and then flush it out. That's pretty much all I can do. Oh, this is what I'm talking about, by the way. It's technically a kombucha heater. something you use to help get your stuff fermenting. I've never used it for that. Not a big fan of kombucha. Just not my thing. But they are nifty when you just need to supplement some warmth. It's not going to be perfectly even. It isn't quite long enough, but that's good enough. 3 times today that light has turned itself off. All these lights. What's that about? I don't get it. It said they've done that before, but not that many times. I would think that means that there's a short or something tripping the wires, but everything is dry. I checked all my connections, that cord right there, it's where everything's hooked in. I don't see any moisture. I don't know. Very weird. Got some mail. You know, the nurseries, they're not open yet. Most of them aren't. Anyways, they're the ones that are nearby, so I have to order a lot of my things this time of year, which is, it's wild to me. St. Louis, we have nurseries everywhere. Everywhere. There's so many nurseries here, but a lot of them closed for the winter time, which I understand. I get the reasoning for it. But plenty of them do stay open. They just aren't really nearby. It would take a long time to go there, and I know that they won't have a lot of plants, but I could stop and get pike. Whatever the case, I had to order some seed starting mix. And last week's video, I showed I don't know where it is, a tote that was full of some seed starting supplies. And I grabbed a couple bags of the Jiffy potting mix, which I'm not crazy about, but I'm not like crazy against it either. It works fine. I haven't had bad luck with any seed starting mix. I had mentioned that I hadn't had the best luck with the Spoma mix before in that video, but I'm pretty sure I had a bad bag because this is light and fluffy, and that last bag that I had a few years ago when I tried it was heavy. That stuff was dense. I remember when I dug into it and I was using it, I was like, this feels like mud. I think it was just a bad bag. That happens sometimes. We'll talk about that in other videos about when buying potting soil, like if the bag feels like heavy, as if there's, like stuff in there you could almost mold to your fingers, like, mud or clay, don't buy it. Sometimes things get wet and they stay wet for too long, and then the soil, the mix starts to break down and get gross. This is gonna be good. Nice and fluffy. If only I could start the seeds. They won't be here till Saturday. That was going to be, I'm pretty sure I mentioned what I was going to do for the rest of the video here would be work on some seed stuff, but seeds won't get here till Saturday. Can't really do anything about that. So I suppose go ahead and get this ginger repotted. I do need to spray some neem, but that's not going to be very entertaining. I was really in the mood to plant some seeds or just plant anything. I just want to get my hands into some dirt, not in a rescue mission. The rescue mission for that doesn't count. I meant like really want to get my hands dirty. That looks kind of good though, doesn't it? I don't mind the way that looks. I mean, it looks stupid with the string around it, but the rocks are on the trunk. I don't hate it. Looks fine. Oh, and even if the seeds were here, the heat mat's not here yet. It says it'll be here between the 20th and the 24th, so still got some time. Luckily, by the way, just a note to myself later on when I say, oh, I can't find my seed starting mix, I actually dropped it behind my chair. It's back here somewhere. Yeah, I know, y'all just got a glimpse at the mess. Most of what that was were the clippings that took up the Dracaena. The ground's frozen. I'm not going outside to get to the yard waste right now. I was also thinking about maybe tying up this elbow, but y'all saw the string that I have. I don't really want to use that on the Monstera, so I should focus on this. Man, it is amazing how much cooler it gets just walking over here. It's almost like, is there a window open somewhere? Just a cool breeze rushing across my feet. That can't be good. Good thing that this cold blast is supposed to leave here tonight. This is the last of about a 4-day cold front that went through here. Like frigid cold. Most of y'all are probably experiencing it too. Definitely not something that's only going on here. Heck, I'm sure some of you it's gotten much, much, much colder than this. But this is just, it's stupid. I want to go outside. I enjoy the snow. It's really pretty. But we had so much of it in January and some in, November? That I'm good with it. And this was a snow where most of it happened at nighttime. I don't care about that snow as much. I prefer the snow during the daytime. So if you can't go out because the roads are bad, because they don't do a great job with the roads here. They do okay, but not fantastic. If you're stuck at home, might as well be able to look outside, I should say, and see some pretty snow, right? But can't do that when it's snowed at nighttime. I'm gonna need razor blade. I'm gonna have to cut the pot off this thing. This is rooted in there, very heavy. You can see the bumps and the outlines and everything. I really should probably be holding off on this just because, I can't run the heater at full capacity. It's fairly cool outside, but it's going to be warm enough tomorrow. The high tomorrow, I think, is 24, which I know doesn't sound great, but that's much warmer than it's been the last 3 days. And then Saturday, when this video comes out, I think it's supposed to be like 41 or maybe even 50. That's going to feel so good. Cannot wait for Sunday. Sunday is when it's supposed to like really ramp up into the 40s and into the 50s. The snow will start to melt, and I can get outside and get to my pottery. It's another reason I'm not doing a lot in here right now. I'd like to do some more repots, but all my pots are frozen. And the gate's frozen, so to get them, I have to do a whole... It's complicated. Just the fun's been sucked right out of it, so gotta do what we can in here. This is something I should probably be doing with 2 hands. I say after I've already done the cutting part. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I cannot wait to see what these roots are gonna look like in here. See, it's a ginger, so it's not planted very deep. I'm gonna need to remember that when I repot these, not to plant them too deep. It'd be nice if I'll put them something nice and wide, but I don't really have anything nice and wide for them. And I need to find my saw too, my hand saw. I'm gonna have to cut through this. Okay, it's not terribly root bound. It's getting there. The swirl on the bottom has started. This isn't that bad. They do have kind of stiff roots though, so there's gonna be a lot of damage. I'm gonna have to cut through a lot of these things. Not the sort of plant where you can just loosely untangle them. These are pretty hard. What I had initially hoped to do was to just pull it out of the container, cut it in half, then pull out one half, whichever half the rhizome was heading. That doesn't matter, so I'm not doing it that way. And then I was just gonna fill it back in right here, so that this half could grow back in and fill in that half, and then repot the other one. But I had used something. I'm not reusing this. What am I using? Oh, there's something I didn't plan on. What am I gonna pot this in? Uh-oh. I did it. I cracked that garage door just not that much. A few feet up and bent my way under, ran out to the driveway, managed to pry a pot out from all the ice. I'm gonna have to let this warm up, which is fine because I need to turn the heater back on for a few minutes. The initial plan had been to divide this up and put it into multiple pots, but this is a good size to upgrade it to without dividing. I'd like to have more though. I'm gonna think about that while everything warms back up. Okay, soil's blended up. Pot is thawed out, mostly. Is it warm? Yeah, it's warmed up. This is the soil I already had made. So see, it's a nice sandy mix. And then this is just all-purpose mix. And then there's a scoop, one of these scoopers of ocean forest in there to help liven it up. And then there's a layer of sand covering the entire top of this bucket. And then I have some aeroid mix that's, bark chunks, charcoal, pumice, and then some big chunky perlite that I'm gonna mix in there, and some starter fertilizer. That's what I'm doing. That should keep a ginger nice and happy. Organically rich, gonna be light and fluffy, and still hold on to moisture. That's the magic thing, is having something that's light and fluffy, still holds on to a lot of moisture, because that's what, gingers and a lot of tropicals like. I was gonna put y'all up on the tripod, but that just broke. I've been saying, things been giving me trouble. And I actually fixed what was giving me trouble. This is totally unforeseen. Didn't know that was gonna happen. Okay. Haven't gotten a ton of use out of that either. I've had it for a while, but I only set it up like 3 months ago. Won't be getting another one of those. That's a piece of crap. It's not made by Neweer or Newer, whoever that is. That's just the adapter that goes on top. What was my point here? I was gonna put y'all up on the tripod and mix it up together, but I'm not, it doesn't matter. Some people enjoy the beauty shot of mixing the soil here. That's all I was gonna say. I would also say that I think this is pretty well homogenized. Looks pretty good. I maybe went a little bit heavy on the chunky perlite, but I don't know, I'd rather have to water it too often than have to deal with any issues with it having too much moisture, right? Okay, is that good? What's that? Maybe 1.5 inches of soil on the bottom. That's probably good. Don't want to do too much. I don't know how to do projects without the tripod. I mean, I do. I've been doing things one-handed on this channel for years, but it just feels weird. I would prefer to just talk while I'm doing the work instead of the other way around. I couldn't find my garden saw to cut through the roots, but I did find a saw blade. So that'll work, right? Do the same thing. Just take this, slice right through there. Should cut through here, I would think. No problem, right? Just Gotta find out where I want to make the start and see a good spot to where I'd want to make the division. And that's, you know, just get in here and let's just start digging. There we go. Clean cut. Right through there. Nice and clean. And no, I didn't hold the saw blade like that. That was just joking. That was just a joke. It was difficult to do without a proper handle on here, though. I had to hold it and go very, very, very slowly. But got it done. Big one is going to go in the big pot. And then I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to put the little one in the smaller pot. I hope my tone wasn't too condescending there after I was done talking. I was like, sheesh, that sounded kind of snotty. That wasn't my intention at all. Only issue here is that you can see the rhizomes moving this way. So it needs to go against this side. Well, no, that's fine. I was thinking it's going to be more of a problem with that. Want to make sure that the rhizome can keep moving across the pot. That'll work. That's okay. Right? Yeah, that's fine. Ugh. I love that feeling. The nice silky feeling of a fresh potting mix. So nice. Look at how fluffy this is. It bounces back. You push down. Comes back up. It's exactly what I want. This is going to be good for this ginger. Not the most ideal time of year to be doing what I'm doing. Probably should have mentioned that, but is what it is. The advantage to this is that this is now going to have some time to grow and do some more establishing in this container before I take it out for the summertime. And more importantly, the piece I cut off will have some more time to heal and start growing again so that I can get it into the ground. That was the whole point here, is I want to keep one of these potted. I want to put the other one in the ground. Oh, and you may notice a pretty big lip here because these guys are thirsty. And I enjoy watering a lot more when I can take the hose and just really drench the surface of the soil and fill it up and let it all soak through, as opposed to doing the thing where you give it a little bit of water and wait for it to drain down, and you know, it just makes less mess this way. And these don't need a very deep container, so its roots are probably from about like right here to about right there. So there's some soil down below it. What did I say? It's like the middle of my index finger. Yeah, that's probably about right. Just got a few extra inches of soil on all sides, with the exception of the side the rhizomes traveling, that's going out a lot further, so it has more room to spread. And now with this piece, I kind of like using a square pot so I can show about planting it at a diagonal a little bit better. I cut that rhizome right in there, so that's going to heal up, and this could actually end up branching its rhizome out and moving in who knows what direction. It's not likely to spread out that direction though, so that's why I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep this one in here at a slight angle so that it can just decide wherever it wants to go. It has a lot of room to decide. Okay. This is done. Same old nice fluffy mix. I'm going to come in here, prune out the dead stuff, and then water these in with starter fertilizer. I think they'd probably appreciate that. Root stimulator, not starter fertilizer. I mean potato, but just when I hear starter fertilizer, I think of Espoma Biotone. That's not what I was referring to. I was talking about a liquid root stimulator. Has faster action than an organic one. I really should have used a bigger watering can for this. We're gonna take a few trips to get this done over here. Yeah, took 4 of these. Water started running out the bottom, and I was like, wait a minute. You're supposed to water it in and then use the root stimulator. Reason for that is that, well, there's no sense in watering in with the root stimulator and then having it all run out the bottom of the pot, pre-moisten the soil, then apply the root stimulator so it will stick around into that moist soil, not just get sucked right. It's fine. Doesn't really matter, other than it's a slight waste of time, but not that big of a deal. Oh, almost forgot something. I am going to prune this back. I know I went in and cleaned it up and everything, but I think that this is going to have a better chance at putting some new roots down if it's been cut back. All these stalks are done blooming, so they're just going to die off anyways. These die off when they're done. Oh, this one hadn't bloomed. Well, most of them were done. So that'll help just devote more energy into the plant, spraying those roots out. And I really needed to make some more room up here too. It is a bit too tall. It's going to shade everything. So this works out much better. I could, yeah, logically, I could go ahead and prune down the other one too. I just don't really want to. It's so pretty. But at the same time, I don't really want it devoting its energy to trying to flower right now, since I just, you know, cut it in half. I just feel like this end is in better shape than that end. I could. I'm going to keep an eye on it for a few days, and if I'm noticing that I'm having any type of decline, I'll cut it back, but otherwise, I'm tempted to just leave it and see what happens. Those rhizomes, you know, they keep the energy stored up in there for a reason. There was a lot more to work with on this one than on that one. That didn't have a lot going on. Root structure wise, you know what I mean? There's a whole lot of, like a tight cluster of a chunk of a rhizome, but there wasn't much to it. Okay, well, that said about does it. There isn't really much else I can do out here. Can you tell I have some cabin fever? Like, I really just want to get outside. By the time this video comes out, weather will be nice. Probably will have gotten some, maybe. I don't know. It's actually pretty wet and gross out there for a while, but we're almost going to be there. I think this video comes out the 28th or maybe March 1st. I don't know, but spring is so close. Need to put that into the fogger and do a spray. That's the one nice thing about the cooler temperatures in here right now is it's ideal timing for spraying. The critters are less active. The moisture isn't evaporating off the plants as quickly. So when I use the fogger, you know what I'm talking about? I have a fogger. This guy right here, where somewhere in the directions it did say specifically to only use outdoors, but I've been using it in here and it's been totally fine. Mostly just been using the neem in there, so not really anything that would hurt me. The neem is kind of obnoxious, but works really well. Get a good spread on everything, and it sticks longer because, like I was saying, it's not warm, and when the heater's not running as much, the humidity does stay up some more in here. You know, those electric heaters really dry the air out. So it has been a good time for spraying. Yesterday I did a spray, not with neem, with something else, and tonight I'm going to go through with neem and do this wall again. Yeah, that time of year, got to stay on top of it. Oh, and I need to order a new tripod. Don't forget about that. Good thing I filmed. Ow, what the crap? What's in my pocket? That was in my pocket. It was poking me. Good thing that I filmed ahead. I usually like to be about 3 videos ahead maximum. Right now I'm 5 videos ahead, but I don't know when they'll actually be coming out. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, things will be pretty current by the time next Saturday's video comes out, whereas right now we're about 12 days in the past. And that's okay, especially when it comes to the seed starting. I'll probably keep the seed stuff pretty short, but there'll be a nearly 2-week period to pass where maybe there'll be some germination and some stuff to update on. It'll be a small part of whatever that video ends up being. Oh, and I didn't mention when I was talking about all the plants and everything that I have ordered, that those aren't, like, they're not being shipped now. I'm just putting that out there because there are going to be people who are like, isn't it too cold? Yes, it's too cold. I think they're supposed to start shipping out around March 10th, and some of them didn't give me an option to use a shipping date, so they probably won't be here until like May, which is annoying, but most of them I think should be here between mid-March and early May. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff to look at. Anyways, hey, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully the audio's been okay in this video. I was editing last Saturday's video last night, and there were some spots where the audio was kind of clunky, but I think it's because I had hit the record button while the heater was on. The heater, it's not that it's so loud, there's some kind of interference. So if I'm 3 minutes into a clip and that heater turns on at any point and I don't stop and start again, then whatever I film for like the next 10 or 15 minutes inside of a clip, it's going to have this weird sporadic clanking noise. I don't know what that is. Hopefully it won't be in this video or the video that will come out prior to this. I've already filmed that and need to edit the bird's nest fern. It's only been a day, so I can't really update on it, but it's there. Hopefully it's going to look good pretty soon. Ish, that one doesn't exactly grow very quickly. Oh, and I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to edit this video because it doesn't come out for quite a while, but I will have tried to put up pictures of the stuff that I was talking about. Normally, if I'm doing a video like with seeds or something where I need to put pictures up on the screen, I plan that out ahead of time. Like, I make sure to have a proper cadence and to space the descriptions of the plants far enough apart so that I have time to put a picture up on the screen. I didn't do that with this one. So some things maybe didn't have pictures, some of them did. Don't worry, you'll be seeing all of them when they actually come in. I'll probably do pictures and show the plants when they come in. It's what I usually do. Just give myself a little safety net there in case I feel extra lazy while I'm editing. All right, hope everybody's doing well, having a great day, a great life. Everything's going beautifully for you. Do I need to can't believe I need to refill that already. Comment down below, say hi, love talking to everybody. How are things going with your house plants? Are you doing your seed starting? You planning for spring? Like I said, I got a lot of fun stuff coming. Several geraniums, different types of impatiens that look pretty neat. Those fuchsias that I talked about, some neat shrubbery, all kinds of fun stuff. And yes, there will be tropicals too. There'll be plenty of tropicals. All right, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.